Dating is scary. It's a jungle out there. Which way do you swipe? What are you doing? Especially if you've been out of the game for many years. Laurie Berzack is the Carolinas Matchmaker. She's been successfully helping singles find their person. She's been doing this for 20 years. So in this episode of the Wake Up to Your Life podcast, we talk about whether online dating is worth it. Can you be too picky? And can politics get in the way of love? 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Colleen Odegaard. One day, I was an Emmy Award-winning television journalist, married to the love of my life, and had 2 beautiful children living under my roof. Then one day, I woke up to a life I didn't recognize. Divorced, in a career transition, with my 2 boys grown and out of the house. I had to get really comfortable being alone really fast, or I was going to lose my shit. This podcast is about reinventing yourself in a new season of life, getting to know yourself again, and having more peace, more love, more levity. This is Wake Up to Your Life. Laurie Berzack, the Carolinas Matchmaker. It is fantastic to see you.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
The last time I interviewed you was probably back on a local TV show that I used to host.
Yes.
And so it's great to have you do this on the Wake Up to Your Life podcast.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been a matchmaker for almost 20 years.
Yes.
Today, I really want to talk about what it is like to be dating after divorce.
Okay.
For a lot of people, I'm in this camp. I was married a long time. I was married almost, 22 years.
Yeah.
A lot of folks find themselves in the situation that I was in. You've been married for a long time and now you're turned loose out into the wild, and a lot of things about the dating landscape have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes. Especially the apps and the attitude towards dating because of the apps.
Yes, it's totally changed from what it was when we were dating before.
Yeah.
So it's overwhelming to people, for those of us who have been with the same person for a really long time.
Yes.
Where do we even begin?
I know, right? So the first thing that I would recommend to people who are freshly divorced is take your time. You do not need to jump right into another relationship. You need time to heal. I've often heard that it takes 5 years after a divorce to really sort of come to grips with who you are again, get yourself grounded. That doesn't mean that you don't get out there dating and just having some fun. But a lot of times those initial relationships, and you and I talked about this at one point, are very intense because you think, oh my God, maybe this is the person that I should have married, 1,000 years ago. And I finally found my soulmate. But that's not your soulmate, most likely. It's just the first person that's come along that's shown you any attention, that gets the butterflies going again. And that's fine. But you don't have to look at everybody as your next prospective partner. That could just be a season, and you need to be okay with that. And just know it's part of the process of finding somebody. And I feel like if you've been married, and especially if you've already had kids, why rush? And, a lot of times, obviously the divorce rates of second and third marriages are very, very high. And it's because people are trying to blend families and they're trying to make this marriage similar to their first marriage, where I just don't think you can compare a marriage when you first get married, where it's sometimes a little bit of the old-fashioned marriage where you're combining everything. You're combining your resources and you're combining, you're having babies together. And it's such a different vibe than the second marriage where a lot of times you're keeping separate bank accounts. You've got the prenuptial in place now. Because you don't want to get burned again if you didn't have it in place, which I always recommend, by the way. First marriages, get that prenup in place. I'm happy we can talk about that another time too. But the bottom line is it's a very unique experience dating after divorce. For all of those reasons.
I like you saying, take your time. And when you say that you and I talked about this at one point, if I'm remembering correctly, I had rekindled something with someone from my past. And I was like, oh my God, he's amazing.
Yes, that happens so much.
Well, guess what? Everything you said was true. I wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. I mean, we weren't even divorced yet.
Yes.
He was still going through his, and I was going through mine.
That's the worst.
And I just thought I was crazy about him. And you were so sweet to me. And but you told me the truth. And it turns out you were right. And so, but I think people don't like to hear "take your time" because they're lonely, they're scared. If they've been married for any significant amount of time, they're thinking, well, I want somebody again.
Right. I want to get back on track. All my friends are still married. I wasted all those years. it was not a waste of your years. It was a season in your life. And if you can get to and I have chills as I'm saying this, which always means like, this is the truth. Okay. So here's the truth is nothing is a waste. No regrets anywhere. Those people, especially if you had a marriage and you had your children as a result of it, there is nothing wasted there. There are no regrets there. And it was a long season, but it wasn't the final season. There's many seasons. And I've seen people in their 70s and 80s find love and partner up at that age and say to me, I've never been so in love. Like, this is amazing. I had a 72-year-old guy that hired me a couple of years ago, and he said that to me. He's like, I didn't even feel this way with my first wife. So there is so much that you learn as you grow and get older that you bring that to a relationship and it just feels so different. And you learn from what mistakes you made. People aren't aware of who they are sometimes when they get married in their 20s, which is so common we're both Gen Xers. Mm-hmm. And that's who I'm seeing walking into my office and saying, okay, I'm ready to find somebody. I had an 80-year-old guy hire me last year.
You did not.
I did. Shame.
Excuse me, Miss Laurie Berzack. I would like to find a nice lady.
He wanted a lady my age. I'm like, dude, I'm in my mid-50s. It's not going to happen. Good luck.
Look at Bill Belichick.
I told somebody, again, a guy 71 said, I'd like to date 50s. I'm like, no, I don't do that. If I will be happy to introduce you to women in their 60s. Maybe I can find somebody early 60s for you. Maybe. But don't be telling me you want somebody 25 years younger than you or whatever. They're not attracted to you. I mean, it's one thing if you're in your 20s, maybe sometimes some women in their 20s will date a guy early 40s because he's got this, that, and the other, and looks like a nice lifestyle, attractive still, vibrant, vital, all the things. But when you get into your 70s and 80s, you can't date 20 years younger. And then they'll say something to me like, but I once was... I met somebody and they were really interested in me. I'm like, okay, that was they seem to be interested in you, but are you with them now? No, you're not. So, they have preconceived ideas of people think that they can get later in life what they could get when they were in their 20s. And you can't. You need to readjust your expectations. That's something you and I were talking about earlier.
Let's talk about this. By the way, I want everybody to listen to what this woman is saying. Laurie Berzack knows her stuff. She's the most real and gets it. I mean, you really do. I went on a date with a fellow recently. The last date I went on. I didn't know it was a date. He was someone I used to know. And I ran into him someplace. And he asked if I'd like to have coffee and catch up. And we did. And then I find out how old he is.
Yeah.
He's 70.
Okay. So
I'm 54. Now,
all right. Okay, how was that?
I'm not interested in dating a 70-year-old right now.
No.
He's a lovely man. I feel like, I still got a little life in me, right? Like, I'm not ready to date a 70-year-old. I'm not.
God bless him, but
so
no.
I agree with what you're saying, but these men, they do tend to seem to want to date younger. But let's talk about expectations. So folks are listening right now, and they find themselves in the dating pool.
Yeah.
Expectations. What do you mean by this? What is realistic for us to expect?
I think that in terms of age range, I think 8 years is okay. And usually, obviously, men want to date a little bit younger, but it's not necessary. You know who I've seen will date their age are widowers. They will date their age oftentimes because they just, they're used to being with somebody their age. Like Kevin, my husband, and I kind of joke around a little bit sometimes about death just because I'm obsessed with death and dying. Don't ask me why, but I am.
Doesn't she sound like a good time? I am too, actually. I'm obsessed with it too.
Yeah. Well, when you see, it's horrible. It's like when you see parents die, you're like, okay, how much more time do I have left? And what am I going to be doing with those years? And am I really living my best life? Okay, so I'm always evaluating my relationships with all the people in my life and trying to figure out how to make it better. And am I really living my truth? Okay. So Kevin and I were talking about, being in relationship with other people if one of us dies. And I'm like, I'm done. It's a one and a done. And then I'm going to find a great group of women and we're going to live in community and have a farm and just have fun. And I'm just not going to worry about it. Now, I just can't imagine being with somebody else at this point in my life. I just can't imagine it. We've been together since I was 21 or something. And I know that I'm saying that coming from a point of strength, where I'm not home alone and lonely. And, when people come to me, they are in that position. I know.
Sure. Yeah.
I get it. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, how do you find healthy relationship once you're out of a divorce and you've done some of the healing, some of the self-healing, and you're like, okay, I think I'm ready again to re-engage, right? And so how do you do it? And, I host events, and they're very curated events. And, I have 200 women on a waiting list right now and 17 men or 20 men that have signed up for my next speed dating event. So it's very hard to get men to come to events. I'm trying. I'm doing my best, but I'm texting people, I'm emailing people. I created a meetup to find men. I'm doing a Facebook group. I'm doing all the things, but men don't really like to go to events. They don't want to walk in alone, all the things. So they'll hire me to match them with people. But there are other events that are going on in town, and all of the towns now, like there are all these companies now after COVID, when everybody was just stuck at home. Now people are realizing the apps aren't working anymore. I've taken it off my list of offerings. I don't offer online management, dating management anymore. No, I'm done. I'm done with the apps.
Can we talk about that though? Because I think a lot of people, that is the way they are using, that is how they are finding dates. They're using Hinge or Bumble, perhaps Match. I don't know if folks are still using that anymore. I think so. And eHarmony, those things. You don't like them?
I'm not a fan anymore. I was for a long time, and I was matching people, and I've got tons of successful matches and marriages and babies as a result of it. But over the last year, I've noticed that the apps are really going downhill because they have all these firewalls up. They're not showing you everybody on the app. So we were doing professional photography and all the things. And even when we did that, the women that I was representing were getting a lot of hits. Over 1,000 men were interested. But at the end of the day, the men that are either they're not showing up for the dates, they're canceling at the last minute, they're ghosting, they're doing all the things. And I think people just need to get out in real life now to meet people. It's time. Forget about the apps. Try to meet people on their own. And actually, segueing to that, I have a new 3-month program, which you don't even know about because I'm literally about to announce it tomorrow. So I'll tell you about it, where I'm going to get 15 to 20 women together, and we are going to meet once a month in real life. And we're going to talk about all the things to do with dating and finding somebody. And I'm going to be giving them assignments, and they're going to use each other as wing women. And I'm going to do like a little daily little video to send right to their inbox. And then I'm going to talk about all the things that people are concerned about with dating and give them assignments. So the assignments could be something simple like go to a bar with one of your wing women and talk to 5 men. Give your phone number out to somebody, smile at 5 people, do different things. And then I'm going to have this like Facebook community group where people have to say how they're doing. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, I might have like a little fine, and then we can pull all the fines together at the end and have a little party with it. But the point is, meet people in real life. And so that's a new offering I'm doing, which I'm very excited about. I don't have any other matchmaker friends that's doing this, by the way. This is all brand new.
And I think it's fantastic. And what you were saying is something that I tell people all the time who say they don't like the dating apps. I say, go out in real life. And here's the takeaway. Like if you don't have access to Laurie, or you're listening to this somewhere else in the country, I'm saying go out and smile at people. Go out and give out your number. Go out and, learn to play pickleball. Join a run club. Join a wine tasting club.
100%. Start your own meetup. Get in front of people because, here's what it is with the apps is, the men that are like 5'6", 5'7", 5'8" will hire me and be like, I don't know, I'm not having any luck on the apps. You know why? Because the women are putting their criteria starting at 5'9", 5'10", or 6 foot and taller. Who cares? It's this much. I'm putting an inch up with my fingers for people listening. But, it doesn't matter. When people come to my events or other events, they're not necessarily looking at how tall somebody is. They're looking at their spirit. They're getting their vibe. Are they funny? Who cares if he doesn't have hair or she's 10 pounds heavier? She's sexy, like whatever it is, like when you meet people in real life, you let a lot of things go. When you're on the apps, you're staring at the people like they're supposed to be pinup models, which they're not. Nobody is. Nobody takes a great picture. Sometimes if they do take a great picture, they don't even look like themselves when they show up. Either they've aged and they're not showing up in person as they are in their photos, or you look different in a photo than you do in real life. So get back to the olden days of, ask your friends if they have any friends to set you up with, or really just start putting yourself out there. Give yourself assignments and make it realistic, and don't put yourself down if you're like, I can't do this tonight. But I think that the idea of creating community to be accountable is the key to getting out in real life. If you've got a friend that is waiting on you, so this is for men and for women, that are waiting on you to go to this event, you're not going to bail on that person. So that's why I feel like the idea of a wing woman is so important, or a wingman is so important for meeting people in real life, because it's scary.
I think that's great. When I was life coaching, and I ended up coaching a lot of single women.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I was a single woman and they were flocking to me. And I would say exactly what you're saying. I say, go sit at a bar at a nice restaurant, not a gross bar, but a nice, pretty bar at a lovely restaurant. You will meet somebody. You really will.
Oh, you will.
So, and you just need to keep getting out there. I know, though, as we're talking about this, there are people listening right now going, okay, well, no, that's not the way the real world works. People are going to go online. So let's talk to the online daters for a moment.
We can.
If you are going to online date,
yes.
What are some best practices?
So number one, you have to have recent full-length photos on there, because people want to know what you look like. And you will know that if somebody is seriously communicating with you, that when you show up, they will not be disappointed. They'll be like, yep, that's what I signed up for. I will hear many times from men and from women, I showed up and I did not even recognize that person. They look nothing like their photos. And that's false advertising. And most of the time people will just be like, all right, I'm here, so we'll just have our 45-minute or hour date or whatever it is. But it's not fair. And then the people that are like, you know what? This is not what I signed up for. I'm out. Then all of a sudden they get a bad rap for it. Oh, that person was so rude for leaving. No, they're not rude. I think it's fine to say, you know what, this is not, you got to figure out how to say it nicely. But the point is that you need to show up looking like your pictures and make sure the pictures are good.
I couldn't agree more. Yes,
right?
That's very important.
So, if you want to get a buddy and meet, at a park and get some pretty pictures of you by a park bench, or it's nice to have some active pictures. Don't use pictures with sunglasses. I'll allow one sunglass photo. Don't do too many with all people, so that people are like, which one is it? Especially your profile photo has to be a good, clear headshot of who you look like. Make sure that you are realistic with your expectations around who you can attract. Just because there are all these hot girls online doesn't mean, and you're on the same platform, doesn't mean you have a chance of going out with them if you are not hot also. I mean, it means, I'm being facetious, but you need to, it's kind of like high school, like be responsible for knowing like who could be in your friend group, or who, be realistic about who you could possibly date. And I think that's the problem, is men have been staring at all these very attractive women online, and then they meet a regular gal, which is average, and they're like, she's not as pretty as this other person, which, by the way, they're not dating. So then they're just alone. So let's just get all the people that are alone and lonely and looking for deep relationship, and just say, be realistic, take it down 17 notches of what you think you deserve, or what you can attract in, and go out with somebody who maybe isn't aesthetically what you're really looking for, but just see if there's a vibe there. See if there's anything there. You could create a beautiful family together. If you're older, you can meld families together. You can have a beautiful life. You can be traveling together, enjoying your retirement years with somebody instead of being alone. Why be so picky? Don't even get me started.
I love it. You always hear people say, I don't know, I'm just picky. I'm not going to settle. I'm like, well, maybe you should settle a little bit. I mean, otherwise you could be alone for the rest of your life. And I say that tongue in cheek, but truly, I think it is relaxing some of those parameters you have. If you are saying you will only date a man who is 6'2" or taller, and you are 5'3", well, good luck to you. You don't need to date a 6'3" man. You are excusing people who could be lovely humans who you could have a lovely relationship with.
Yeah. Same goes with politics.
Ooh. Oh, when people say, if they're a Trumper, I'm not dating them, that kind of thing.
Stop it.
Oh, you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think. I know.
Well, and I know couples who are married who think differently politically. And there are people in my life who I love, friends who didn't vote the way I voted. And,
exactly. Be a little bit more open politically is what I have to say, because, there are a lot of great guys out there who are conservative minded and fiscally responsible and all the things. And they voted Republican. Okay. And then there's women that are like, I will never date somebody who voted for Trump. And I'm over it. I'm over it. It's like you are two incredible people and you could have a wonderful life together. Don't talk about politics in the bedroom and get on with it already. But I know that I am not in the majority for saying that. And there's a lot of matchmakers out there that disagree with me, but that is what I think.
No, I like that you're saying it though, because I'm one of those people who said it would be very hard for me to date somebody who voted that way. I'm being honest. It would be difficult for me to do it.
It goes both ways, but
Sure.
I just feel like, we're in a moment in time right now, and things can change with the next presidency. And when you close yourself off to wonderful human beings, I think that there are a lot of layers, and I think there's a lot of gray areas, and I don't think that people should be so stark with their belief systems.
I think that is the takeaway for me, and I agree with that. Be more open-minded.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be realistic, right? If you ain't all that, just I'm not saying you're not great. You're great, right? I think you're all beautiful and you look great, but be real.
Yes.
Be real about that. Level set your expectations. Be willing to put yourself out there. What about your mindset? Because I think this has a lot to do with getting back out into the dating world.
Okay.
Your mindset, because I talk to women who say, no one's going to like me. I'm not a catch. I'm too old. That's a belief I've had. Oh, I'm 54. Men my age don't want to date 54-year-old women. They want to date 30-something-year-old women. That's a belief that I walk around with. When I walk around with that belief, then I'm like a poopy pants and I'm closed off and I can't meet anybody. So talk a little bit about your mindset when you're going into this.
Yeah. I think that you can manifest anything you want and you can attract in anything you want. And if you're stuck in a mindset of it's never going to happen and all the things that you just said, that is exactly what you will attract. But if you just say, you know what, I am going to clean the slate and I'm going to be open to whoever the universe sends to me. So you need to get sort of in the zone, right? And that's actually something I'm going to be working on with my little 3-month project group, is really sort of getting square with the idea that things are going to happen in your life and you just need to keep your eyes open and wait for it to happen and be embracing of it. And it could come in different shapes and sizes. You don't know what's about to happen. It's very exciting. Like we really don't know what's going to happen. The next thing, today could be different from tomorrow. Tonight you could go out somewhere with a friend and you could meet somebody and your whole life has changed. And it just takes 1 minute, 1 instant for your entire life to change. So be looking for it, have the mindset of it is coming to me. I trust the universe. I can't wait to meet this fabulous person, or maybe I'll meet like a new best friend. Your life as it is right now could be different tomorrow. I mean, I've made best friends in my 50s that I'm surprised about. So you don't know. You haven't met all the people you're going to meet in your life. Think about where you were 20 years ago and how your life is so different. So I think if you have that mindset of abundance and excited about what's going to come to you, then you will receive whatever that is. But if you're in the negative headspace, that's that you attract what you give out.
Yeah, I think if you're in the negative headspace, maybe you're not ready to date. I would argue that maybe you need to go back in and do the work on yourself.
Yes.
That you truly can be happy alone, okay alone.
Yeah.
You've learned to enjoy your own company.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a delight. Just ask me and I will tell you, I'm a delight. I have really learned to love my own. I have changed
so much. I can't even, over the last 5 years since I have known you. I mean, I've known you longer than that, but in the last 5 years, you have really grown. It's remarkable. I mean, I feel like I know you.
You do.
Yeah, I know. Because we've shared a lot of
personal stuff. Yeah.
We have. And it's remarkable, but time takes time. You know, I mean, that's the truth, you know? And I think everybody's like a little manic right after they get a divorce, where they're like, oh my God, I'm spinning.
Check.
Can you imagine what you attract in when you're spinning like that? No. And all the people that are dating when they're not even divorced, you're still married. You haven't signed off the divorce papers. Who wants to date somebody who is still separated? I'm not a fan.
I'm a red flag. That's a red flag to me. And you're not a fan.
No,
I know you're not a fan.
I don't even take on anyone who is separated. I don't let any people hire. And sometimes they're upset. They're like, oh, you won't even consider me? I'm like, I'm not going to consider you, because there's so much growth that needs to take place. And and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. A guy called me. He's lovely. I can't wait till he's got like a couple more years down the line where he has some experiences and then he's ready really to date. But, he wasn't even he had just filed for separation, like he's still dealing with it. And if he starts dating somebody right now, he's going to want to talk about what's on his mind, which is the kids, the household, the insurance, all the things that he's dealing with, the fighting, the lawyers, and he's not going to want to talk to his new love about it. So there's a whole part of his life that he's not discussing with her. Or if he does, she's got to suck up all that negative energy. That is not where you want to start a relationship.
No thanks. You want to know what's unsexy is listening to the person you're dating talking about the problems he or she is having with their soon-to-be ex and the fighting that's going on. It is unsexy. That is no fun.
It is no fun.
That's why I'm such a believer in you setting those standards and not breaking those boundaries for people, because I do think it takes time, and we don't like that. We want to get to the fun part, the good part, and you can, but. And we're talking, Laurie and I are really talking right now, though, from the point of if you want to get back and date and have a meaningful relationship, you just want to go around and hook up, do whatever you want, get on the apps and swipe away and have a great time.
Right.
If that's what you're looking for.
You can.
You can, but if you want a fulfilling relationship.
Right. But it's also almost not fair to the people on the apps if you're out there doing that, especially if you're claiming that you want a relationship, because you're just using people. It's not fair. So that's why, going to a professional matchmaker that really knows what they're doing, or joining some kind of singles group or something like that, will allow you to meet people that are being more intentional about dating.
Right. That makes sense.
Yep.
So finding people who are more intentional about dating,
Yep.
Getting out in the land, getting your mind right, taking the time to heal, level setting our expectations.
Yep.
What about people who say they don't have any confidence? I meet a lot of women, well, men too, though, who, I live in this apartment building. I'm renting a bougie apartment that I love. Yeah. And I talk to these single guys and they tell me these stories about, they're kind of, I would say they might be a little relationally lazy. Like they don't want to put forth a lot of effort.
Yep.
Kind of like they don't want to show up to your events.
Yes.
And, they just sort of think they're going to meet someone and they maybe their confidence is taking a hit. Because a lot of times if you were the one who was left, if you didn't want the divorce and you've been left, you might be dealing with some feelings of rejection and thinking that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And who's going to want me? Oh my God, he didn't want me anymore. Who's going to want me?
Yes.
I think that comes back to the healing.
Yep.
Doing the inner work and getting to the point where no, I am a catch. I'm a lovely human being.
Yes. Think about what it is that's really holding you back. Sometimes people say to me, I've got I'm not in the shape that I want to be in. So get into the shape. You know what I mean? There's medications out there. There's the gym. There's a personal trainer. By the way, if I don't pay somebody at the gym to train me, I will not go to the gym because I am lazy and I don't want to do it. And I'm like, even today I'm walking in the gym, I'm like, well, if I didn't pay for this session, I wouldn't be here. So I worked out for an hour with a trainer and it's worth the money for me, health-wise and everything else. But, do what you need to do. Like put all your attention towards it, whatever it is that's stopping you from being in a relationship, because, you'll start feeling better about yourself. Even like, taking 10,000 steps a day, you're getting out there, you're getting some sunshine, you're moving your body. It's more meditative. I heard that recently that, it's even better to walk than it is to do like some major HIIT class, because it lowers when you're doing the HIIT stuff. It's like okay, help me out here. What's the word? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, producer
Strike
Kristen.
that from the record. You can keep it if you want. So your cortisol levels are so high when you're doing those that there's no way you're going to release that extra weight. But if you're walking, you're relaxing, you're meditating, you're looking at the beautiful flowers, if you've got a dog, whatever it is, and you're more likely to release whatever it is that your body is holding on to that you don't need anymore. So if it's your body that you want to fix, just make up your mind, just do it. If your brain feels funky and you don't know, you're out of work, hire a therapist, group therapy. There's so many different opportunities online. You can do it. There's no excuse not to do therapy. There's free resources. There's so many things. If you're not happy with your life circumstances, where you're living, the apartment, your roommate, whatever it is, figure out how to have those conversations that might have a little conflict, and you will feel so much better. The worst thing is to feel stuck in your body, in your living space, in your relationship, with your kids, whatever it is. So try to start releasing, shedding some of that extra mental weight that you're carrying around with you. And then again, you'll start attracting in what you're really looking for. And sometimes when you're not focusing on the relationship and you're focusing on bettering yourself, making friends, getting to pickleball, doing the things, you naturally meet people. You make friends, maybe you meet a love partner. You don't know who you're going to meet. But that's the importance of getting up off the couch, doing something about your life. Just like the title of your podcast, Wake Up Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're doing. You're waking up.
Mm-hmm. It really is like that.
Yeah.
Though. And I found that what helped me get out of my depression after my divorce was doing all these things that you're talking about. It was, working on me, and it was therapy, and it was long meditative walks with my dog.
Yep.
And feeling the sun on my skin,
yes,
and breathing in the air and listening to the birds or the traffic, whatever it might be. But just think, you know what? I'm grateful to be here. I am. I didn't feel that way for a while, but I am. That's the truth of the matter, right?
Yes.
And I stopped thinking about, I need a boyfriend. I don't need a boyfriend. I would like a man who could enhance my life. I think that would be lovely.
Yep.
But I'm really good. And I have a lot of love in my life. I've got wonderful grown sons now. I've got a great group of friends who love me like family. And I focused on that. And then I became less obsessed with are there any single men here? And I'm not so attuned to that. And baby, that's when it's on. That's when everyone wants to come talk to you.
It really is. When you're good with you, it's very attractive.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot of people deal with melancholy and, just kind of like, I'm stuck in a rut, especially if they've hit the middle age or whatever it is. And just acknowledge it. Just say, it's okay for me to feel this way. And it's also okay for me to set it down. Each day you can do a reset. At any point in time, you can reset. You can say, you just need to be really attuned with yourself and your body and your mental capacity and just say, I feel sad right now, but I also know that I have the capacity to not feel sad. So let me walk through this for a minute. You can even give yourself a set period of time, 30 minutes, and then I'm done. Turn on some music, dance in the mirror, tell yourself you love yourself in the mirror, call a great friend, call a family member, get out of the funk. Eating the potato chips, watching 17 episodes of The Good Wife. P.S. I did that just recently.
It's a great show. I love that one.
Oh my God.
I love that.
It doesn't actually make you feel better. You think you're doing the self-help stuff, self-care stuff, but that actually doesn't make you feel better. It's all the other things that we have been talking about. But there's nothing worse than compounding yourself I'm so depressed. And I hate that I'm feeling so depressed. Pile on the guilt. Let it go. Change it up.
Yeah.
Just take a step. The other thing is drinking. A lot of people have a couple glasses of wine at night. They're like, oh yeah, it's time for my glass of wine. I'm treating myself. The next day they wake up and they've got a heavy fog in their heads and they feel a little melancholic. And from the people that I speak to about drinking, they cut it out and all of a sudden they're clear-headed. They lose 10 pounds. They're feeling better about themselves. As people get older, it is affecting people's bodies a lot differently. So a lot of people in middle age and older are saying to me, I kind of had to stop drinking because it was making me feel bad. Even one beer. I was like, good. It's so toxic anyway. It's not going to do you any good. When you're on dates, do not have more than one drink.
Say that again for the people in the back.
What ends up happening, especially the women, they have 2 drinks.
Oh, I know
and
what happens.
They're out of it. They end up making out with the guy. The next day they say to me, I wasn't really attracted to him.
Oh
and
my
I'm
God.
like, okay, what just went down
here? I
here?
totally did that. I made it out with a guy who had nose hair, ear hair. He was not cute to me at all. I was not attracted to him. And I made out with him because I'd had 2 or 3 drinks. And I was like, what the hell was I thinking?
Because you're thinking, I'm having a good time. I'm relaxing. Oh, I'm more open now to him. I don't really care about the nose hair.
That was me trying to be open-minded, right? Not be so focused on looks. Like, okay, I could just be open-minded. And oh, sure, why not? No, he was not for me at all. He was so douchey. He said to me at one point, he's like, we'd be a real power couple.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm totally depressed and I'm barely hanging on. I'm not really in a place to be in a power couple.
Yeah.
And then he only wanted to see me at weird times. He'd say, oh, I can meet you for a walk between 4:12 and 4:47, or we could meet for coffee at 5 a.m. But no woman wants to go on a coffee date at 5 a.m. or meet for these odd times.
Was he married?
As I'm saying this to you, what do you think?
I think he's married.
Wasn't married.
Okay.
But you're on the right track. He was dating
Multiple
5 other
people?
women at the same time. And that's a weird thing after getting divorced, and because I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I did try to date multiple people at the same time, and
it's hard.
I don't advise it.
No.
It's very difficult, and you're not giving anyone a real fair shot.
Yes, you are not. You're not giving any. I always say if you go out with somebody 5 times, you should know whether or not you really want to take away all the noise of other people that you're dating and just move forward with trying to be in a relationship with that person. The first 5 days is just dating. It's not a relationship. But you cover so many topics in those first 5 dates that you kind of know at that point, and keep sex out of it. We've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. Don't sleep with somebody right away.
Right.
People, especially women, are just giving it away. Don't do that. It's dumb. Sorry to be so crude and upfront about it.
No, I'm glad you are.
Same with men. Men and women get very attached when they start sleeping together. And then they don't even really get to know each other afterwards, because it turns from the emotional to the physical. And up until the point where you have sex with somebody is the best time to really get to know them, where people open up to you and they're really kind of sharing what their soul is really all about. Then once you bring sex into it, it just turns all into that. And it's very exciting and all the things. But it's like you've progressed from like point A to Z too quickly. So just wait. Mm-hmm. Wait until you know somebody. Wait until you know that you're going to be seeing them regularly. You like their communication style. You can handle conflict with that person. You like who their family is. You think you might love them. Wait until you love somebody to have sex. That's my opinion.
No sex, no drinking, no fun. Just kidding. No, I agree with everything you said. I 1,000% agree after making a lot of mistakes in the, aftermath of my ex-husband leaving and being so, oh my God, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And I think I was so excited for any male attention because
yes, it's normal.
Because I was the one who was left. Yeah. And I didn't want this. I didn't want this to be my story. Yes. And so it was, oh, you like me? Okay, I'll go out with you.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, do I like him?
Right.
No, I wouldn't give this guy the time of day.
Right.
Now I'm on,
But that's how we were raised by our mothers. Be a good girl. Like, we want to attract men. I mean, it was a really different vibe than it is now.
Yeah.
I'm glad that things have changed.
Yeah, very much so. But
yes.
Doing the work on yourself, you can't go wrong. And Laurie, how can people find you if they would like to work with you?
Yeah.
Plug all the things.
Okay. So on all the socials at Carolinas Matchmaker. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and TikTok and all the things. And then I have in the Carolinas, I have a group called the Singles in the Carolinas group, but you got to live in the Carolinas to join it. And it's really just an opportunity for people just to talk to each other. It's not a dating site. It's just things where people post. But sometimes people meet people. I have events. So if you go to my website, carolinasmatchmaker.com, and fill out a profile, it's free to do that. And then you can either sign up for a consultation with me. We do a 1 hour, $250 consultation. It can either be in person or virtual. People can hire me for matchmaking. People can join my 3-month group where we're doing wing women, community, getting out into the wild and really meeting people in real life. That's exciting.
Go to carolinasmatchmaker.com.
Am I missing anything?
I think you've covered it.
I have some offerings.
I think you've covered it. But
yes.
if folks want to get in touch with Laurie, we'll put this all in the show notes so it's easy for listeners to find. But I can't tell you what a pleasure it is. Thank you so much. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you were hoping we'd get to?
No, I mean, I think we covered it.
Okay.
This is good.
All right. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you.
No sex, no drinking, no fun.
Ha.
Kidding. Thank you so much for listening to the Wake Up to Your Life podcast. I love connecting with you, so reach out to me on Instagram at Colleen_Odegaard. My podcast is also on YouTube now, so you can leave a comment on the podcast episode and tell me what resonated with you. You can subscribe to my channel at the link in our show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.